And welcome back to week 3 and our final week of Funeral KRT, the podcast where we take a look at the best and worst of obscure media. I'm Kit Kong Quinn.
Yeah, nice. I'm the green visible man already.
Oh, shit! Sorry, this movie was so slow that I actually died in my sleep peacefully. I'm Zombie Randy now. Hi.
Randy's one of the zombie butlers.
Ouch.
Peter Lore Randy Martin.
Oh my god! I knew he was my real dad.
Yay! And welcome to the Second Timers Club, Lottie!
Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
Don't die.
Did you want a scary name, Lottie, or?
Oh, yes. I actually had to look this up. I'm Lottie from the Black Lagoon.
Yes,
There we go.
there will be plenty more puns and wordplay to come as we go along.
Okay.
So this is a topic that has been a long time coming and wasn't initially supposed to be. Basically, we were actually planning on doing this as our final topic last year. However, something ended up happening that made it kind of awkward, and we were like, okay, maybe we should hold off.
Yeah, I forget. I forget if it was. I think it was Arthur Rankin Jr. that passed away.
Oh, no. It was Jules Bass. Arthur Rankin passed.
Yeah, no, Jules Bass was the one that passed away. And, that was just unfortunate. We thought it would just be disrespectful to, basically shit all over this movie. At least we got A Wonderful Night for Eyebrows, I guess.
Huzzah!
I don't remember a thing that happened in that fucking movie.
I remember I was really nervous because I remember last year I watched this movie and I was just not having it when I first watched it. I was just like, God, this is so dull. It's like, I love Rankin-Bass, but this is not one of their best. Now upon rewatching it, and I really didn't want a tribute to a man who was a big part of my childhood, otherwise to be, I'm gonna shit all over the movie he directed. But thankfully, I did start to rewatch it this year, and in a weird way, it actually did kind of grow on me. Don't get me wrong, I still have a lot of my frustrations with it, which I'll get into with this movie, but
I have a fuck ton of frustrations with this movie. Let me just go on the record there.
It's like, the thing about Rankin-Bass is that they've been so innovative for a lot of different animation techniques, helping form animagic. And I feel like, to be fair, this was one of their first movie-length movies, so I kind of want to give them a pass on why it kind of feels a little lopsided compared to, say, The Last Unicorn. But at the same time, I gotta say, I feel like this movie would have really sufficed as a 30 or 45-minute movie instead.
It really would.
You gotta give it to Rankin-Bass. They invented the Glasgow smile.
Exactly.
We're gonna get into it later, but a lot of what I don't like about this movie boils down to the fact that it's just so unnecessarily long. Like, you could cut a lot of filler dialogue and maybe a couple songs.
Yeah, hang on. How long is Rudolph? Let me look it up.
Yeah,
45, if I'm not mistaken.
Hey, don't spoil it for me.
I'm one of those dicks on Twitter. No, I'm kidding.
Also, ironically, this movie did not come out on Halloween. It came out in March 1967.
Of course, similar to While You Were Sleeping and Shazam.
Also, Kit, you were wrong. It's 55 minutes, not 45 minutes.
I'll go into my corner now.
But anyway, notice how one of their most beloved movies of all time is only 55 minutes and not an hour and a half.
And it's just much better paced all around. Like, they have surprisingly good pacing with a lot of the other specials, so I'm not exactly sure why it kind of went out the window with this one.
These guys are just better at Christmas.
Yeah, basically.
Leave Halloween to Henry Selick.
Yeah.
So, Lottie, you were basically the one that turned us on to this movie. What is your relationship with it?
So, one year for Halloween, my friends and I were getting together, and we usually watch the Invader Zim Halloween special.
Hell yeah.
We could be talking about that, but no.
I could be such a happy little emo kid right now, but no.
I'm sorry.
We forgive you.
I don't know. It might take a while for me.
Oh.
To be fair, Invader Zim isn't really obscure anymore, so
No, true.
True.
I don't care. I like it.
yeah, it's a masterpiece.
Meanwhile, maybe it does deserve to stay obscure.
Yeah.
Some things need to be obscure, and that's okay.
Agreed.
But anyway, go on, Lottie.
But I forget why she didn't. I think she left it back in college. And so she went to the library and she found this movie.
Oh, that damn library.
She was like, it's fine. We can make fun of it. And like, to be fair, even though the Christmas movies are iconic, you can still make fun of them very easily.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we were like, all right, fine. It's some good riff movie. And I think I blacked out halfway through that movie because I was just like,
In all fairness, I did too watching this again, quite frankly.
Yeah.
because like it got to the skeleton part, and like I remember asking like, how long is this movie, because it's still going. Like, did we need the skeleton monkeys to perform a long song for us? Like,
No, they're not the Skelemonkeys. They're the fucking Skelebeetles.
It's like once I realized just how pure and simple this plot is, I realized this probably could have been like half an hour maximum. Instead, we get a whole extra hour.
There's no reason why it shouldn't have been.
Also, why not call them the Mumkeys?
Yes.
I'm getting ahead of myself, but there's this band of skeletons, and I was kind of in my head calling them the Door Eagle Keys Tridge family.
Oh, I love that.
So I had somewhat heard of this movie. I had seen a lot of reviews of it, and because I was such a big Rankin-Bass fan as a kid, I always kind of got curious about checking it out, but I never really did. I don't know if it was because it was never available, or I just could never get a hold of it. Eventually, Lottie brought it back to my attention sometime in the past couple of years, and I decided to watch it last year, especially when initially it was going to be reviewing, and I gotta say, this movie kind of portrays a lot of stuff I really like and a lot of stuff I really don't care for. It's like, this movie's more frustrating than straight up bad for me, but I gotta say, there's just so much potential here that it really could have followed through on. Like, I was just telling Lottie this, and we'll go into it more into the movie, but I gotta say, this would have worked so much better as not just a 30 or 45-minute movie, as a murder mystery. Like, why not?
Yeah, that would have been great, actually.
Like, they're all monsters. They're all suspects. That would be hella cool.
There's a formula to it. A very simple formula. Everybody's a suspect.
Yeah.
And I get that this movie was kind of following up in the trend of how at the time there were tons and tons of crossovers between the Universal monsters, similar to, say, Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein, Frankenstein versus Dracula, all of that. So it made sense for this movie to eventually exist. But I don't know, something about the way it was executed just was very frustrating. And I don't know if it was just because they were still getting used to movies. And it's frustrating because there is a lot of stuff that I feel highlights their growth as they went into animation.
Yeah, there was some good fucking models in that.
Yeah, the character designs in this are lovely.
And the sets were great.
Yeah, and as much as I do love the style, I will say that I kind of do get why for some people it's a bit off-putting, but that's why I think that the Universal monsters actually look great in it. It's like, they really managed to bring them to life.
And we should mention that for its time, this movie does have some big names attached to it.
Hell yeah.
Namely, Boris Karloff and Phyllis Diller.
Like, if nothing else, the voice acting in this is also really phenomenal. Like, Boris Karloff is great as the main.
You know what? I couldn't unhear him as the Grinch.
Valid,
I know
yeah.
he has more roles, in horror, but he's always going to be the Grinch to me.
It's kind of funny that we reviewed the Grinch movie that doesn't have him last year and this year, and we're reviewing a non-Grinch movie with him this year.
I will say, in terms of Phyllis Diller and spooky houses, the better use of her time in terms of that was The Mouse Factory, her episode of that.
I want a ghoul just like the ghoul that buried dear old Dad. He was a good man, the only good
Huzzah. Also, because don't ask why, I've been watching a lot of Family Guy recently. I can't escape her. But that's not a bad thing. Rest in peace,
The other
Louise.
Shout out to David Gansler who brought that back to my attention. Go check out his Haunted Mansion video. It's fucking excellent.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
And so this movie, like I said, was directed by Jules Bass, and in addition was written by both him and Harvey Kurtzman, who worked on, of all things, the Little Annie Fanny strips from Playboy.
Huh.
Oh my god.
And he also actually worked for Mad as well, so...
All right.
So one thing I want to point out about this title that really confuses me is that the title of the movie is actually Mad Monster Party, as in it ends with a question mark. Why does it end with a question mark? Does it need a question mark?
It's because there's a total of 10 minutes of the actual Mad Monster Party in this fucking movie called Mad Monster Party.
There's not enough of a monster party here. What the fuck? How do you bungle the concept of monsters getting together for a Halloween party?
Exactly. It's like they think, no, they want to come for this awkward guy who sounds like Jimmy Stewart for some reason.
Yeah, the love child of fucking Jimmy Stewart and Rick Moranis.
Rick Moranis would actually be able to pull this off. Let's be real.
He would, but also he doesn't need to be in this.
He doesn't deserve this.
No, he doesn't.
Agreed.
So I guess we'll get into the movie now. You know, we're of course talking about the character of Felix, who I guess is the quote unquote protagonist of this movie.
Yeah, and barely so. And it's so confusing what his role is in this movie. And there's an even more confusing plot twist with him, but we'll get to that.
Yeah, another problem with this movie that I have is that it just puts in too many characters and too many plot lines, you know, because the movie actually does start off, you know, with Dr. Frankenstein, played by Boris Karloff, creating a serum that basically makes things fucking explode.
It's destroyed. Just like you wanted.
You know that the movie will start off great when it starts with a guy killing a bird.
I know.
Yeah, he literally fucking birdemics a bird before birdemic was even a thing.
Also, that one Treehouse of Horror has ruined the phrase nevermore for me because all I can hear is Bart.
Oh my god.
What ruined Nevermore for me was a video of a raven actually saying it and then immediately going a waka waka waka.
Oh god!
You know, guys, I gotta be honest. After Laughter was not Nevermore's greatest album.
Ah.
Da, 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 da. Also, I gotta shout out the very first line of this movie where Boris Karloff says,
"A lifetime of experimentation capped in one small vial."
"Hi, Agatha."
Hi.
No crabs in this movie, disappointingly.
Maybe the creature of the Black Lagoon knows some crab experiments? Who knows?
Probably. I mean, there are alligators, so I guess alligator experiments. I don't know.
Since Dr. Vile technically is the ex-boyfriend of Dracula, I gotta know if he's also met Boris Karloff.
Yeah. So after this, we get an opening montage of all the monsters getting their invitations to the titular party.
I actually really love the opening song.
The
cool.
opening is pretty great. It's kind of like this sultry, jazzy, you know, mysterious tune that I kind of think sets the vibe up pretty well for this movie.
Did you sell your soul to the devil at that monster party last night? Mad monster party.
Yeah, how dare it falsely make me excited for this?
And it's sung by the late, great Ethel Ennis.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and also, like I was saying, I really do love how the monsters look in this movie, like, especially the Invisible Man's design. I gotta know how they pulled that off.
Yeah, the Invisible Man has fucking Hugh Hefner drip.
Hugh Hefner drip.
Also, I love that when Dr. Jekyll shows up, you know, the first thing he does after he gets his invitation is just starts fucking drinking his serum. And I'm like, no, Dr. Jekyll, you're supposed to get turned at the party. And then after that, he just straight up just starts bouncing off of the fucking scenery in just the most janky Rankin-Bass kind of way with this animation. I love it.
Also, I like that the werewolf doesn't look at all like the Wolfman from the Universal monsters, but instead like either the Michael Landon I was a teenage wolf.
Oh yeah, it's cute.
Yeah.
Even looked a little like Michael J. Fox's Teen Wolf, so that's neat.
Yeah.
So Teen Wolf ripped this off. Got it.
Explains a lot when you think about it.
And then it led to Luck of the Irish.
Oh, man.
Oh, Disney Channel movies.
Also, while this opening sequence is going on, we get kind of like these Batman-esque, spoken sound effects. And there's supposed to be like scary sound effects like boo and whoo and scary or whatever like that. But one of them is Zowie.
Yeah, 60s.
Even in the 60s, I wouldn't think Zowie is exactly one of the scariest phrases out
there. Yeah, they were
there.
saying shit like groovy.
Yeah.
Basically, this movie predated Rowley from Diary of a Wimpy Kid.
I'm surprised Batman didn't have a fucking panel that said Zooey Mama on it.
Oh my god.
Funny that we bring up Batman, but we'll bring that up later.
Oh, yeah.
And so then we cut to Felix in his pharmacy doing things that he's somehow not fired on the spot for.
Yeah, the dude's just straight up fucking drugging himself on the job. He's literally popping pills and downing them with something.
Wait. You're telling me pharmacists aren't supposed to just be opening up the pill capsules, taking them, and then seeing what happens?
I know, right?
Well, I'm fired.
Actually, what I was so confused about, because when they were setting that up, I thought, does this mean Felix is going to be the Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde type in this movie? That would actually make sense.
No, he's boring the whole movie.
Yeah, it's like, it would actually tie into the monster theme, but no, he's got to just be a guy.
Oh, man. And it's here that we also meet his boss, Mr. Cronkite, who was basically giving him shit. And I gotta say, of course the guy with the fucking Hitler mustache is making someone work for free.
They couldn't make it just a little bit longer. They couldn't give him an actual Cronkite mustache. They couldn't have him be voiced by Walter Cronkite. Imagine hearing your shitty boss talk like this. What the fuck are you doing, Felix? You're not supposed to just be taking the meds and throwing them everywhere, or whatever it is the fuck you're doing.
Now that grease has reached its boiling point, thousands of French fries are entering the skirmish.
Quit goofing around and put on your hairnet.
And that's the way it is.
Also, did anybody notice that one of the customers in the store looked like one of the fucking Dover boys?
Oh my god, they did! It was similar to when I was rewatching Year Without a Santa Claus and I realized the tramp was randomly in the background.
Oh god, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so I do admittedly love when they sneak little Easter eggs in like that.
Yeah.
Don't you mean scarester eggs? I don't know.
Whoa! You're banned from the podcast. It's just KR now.
All right.
So the only reason I guess Felix still even has his job is that he has to pay off everything that he's broken, which is just even more reason to fire him. So I don't get what the hell this guy is doing unless he just likes exploiting him.
I don't think that was legal even in the 60s.
Also, when he was talking about how the Feeble Fetcher magazines, I was like, that's a euphemism for Playboy, isn't it?
That is one of my favorite genres of fake magazine, is all the unlicensed ways you can make a parody of Playboy in cartoons.
I don't know what a Feeble Fetcher is, but I'm 95% sure it's illegal in most countries.
At least it's better than that one from Unidentified Flying Oddball. I forgot the name of. Playtime.
Playtime. Why did I think it was Fun Boy or something?
Which that's even worse than Playboy. So what the hell?
Why were they teaching the robots to jerk off?
At least this movie's better than that.
Yeah. Well, a lot of things are better than Unidentified Flying Oddball.
And so then Felix receives a letter at work and not his house for some reason, where he's told that he's been invited to a mysterious island. Definitely not a scam.
Well, I mean, the guy doesn't get paid. I'm sure he just is homeless at this point and lives at the pharmacy. I'd be like, opening random containers of pills and drinking them too if I was in his situation.
Oh, Mr. Cronkite, I received a letter from a Nigerian prince. He says we need to send him $100,000. And I was half expecting when he was begging Mr. Cronkite for a vacation and Mr. Cronkite was hesitating for him to suddenly be like, okay, Felix, you can have a vacation for the rest of your life.
Oh.
Excuse me, sir. This is the CBS News studio. How the hell did you get in here? I'm not going to stop making these jokes.
Oh. And so then we cut back to the Monster Island and we get introduced to Frankenstein's monster, who they call Fang in this movie, and the bride of Frankenstein's monster.
She's not called the bride of Frankenstein. She's called the monster's mate.
I just want a mate.
You're not mating with me, sunshine.
A mate. I want a mate.
Sure, why not?
Ew.
At least this movie gets it right.
Yeah, I get it, but also I don't want to think about Frankenstein fucking, so.
So she's a monster fucker. She's totally a monster fucker. Only monster fuckers call their partners their mate.
She's
Also,
a monster fucker, but she's a monster fucker who hates her spouse because she constantly like belittles him and hits him, and like I don't know if that's their love language.
And then there was like that sucked. The only thing I could think about when listening to it was that one Family Guy skit.
You're hideous to be without. You're big and fat in the heart, no doubt. You're a horrible loss if you won't be my wife. You're a raging, continuous love in my life.
Yeah, that one.
And also, she's the only one of the monsters to not even look remotely like her Universal design. It's like...
Yeah, no, she just looks like Phyllis Diller.
I guess I get it, but it's like, why?
She looks more like a witch than like Phyllis Diller or the Bride of Frankenstein.
And also, while I will say that her voice acting for the most part for the character was pretty decent, I could not stand the laugh that they were making her do. Like, why?
Why? I was saying that a lot during this. Why?
You know, Randy, you mentioned the song that Phyllis Diller sings. I wouldn't really call that a song because all she's doing the whole time is just singing, oh, you're different, you're so very different, and you're different. I love you because you're different, and I gotta be honest, I skipped through most of the songs.
Yeah,
oh, honey, you're just different. That's all.
The music in this is a mixed bag because, like I said, the opening song was really good, and there's a song later on that I kind of dug, but otherwise, I just found it kind of surprisingly forgettable. And then we get introduced to Francesca, who...
So, why did they give her model such giant boobs?
I feel like this was made with a much more adult-ish audience in mind.
This movie gets surprisingly raunchy at points. No wonder.
Yeah, this movie is unacceptably horny, even for the 60s.
This movie is not just horny, it's also an alcoholic.
Honestly, the moment I looked at her design, I was like, Jessica Rabbit was absolutely inspired by this design, right?
Absolutely.
But like, no, yeah, there's so much booze in this movie that's like, I usually don't focus that much on this because movies have booze in them. That's just one of the oldest parts of human civilization, booze and bread.
You know, Randy, I would probably drink if I was this movie too, let's be real.
But like almost every scene, one of those monsters has a drink in their hand or they're talking about drinking. It's like, dude, that's not healthy. You need help.
She's actually voiced by Gail Garnett, who's the singer of We'll Sing in the Sunshine. And
really?
Yeah, she's pretty good in this movie as well, so...
You know, I will say I do like the character of Francesca. She kind of, for lack of a better term, she serves cunt in a Rankin-Bass way.
I don't want to be creepy, but I support women's wrongs.
Yeah, same. Yeah, so we're all on the same page here.
And I know I'm getting ahead too, but it turns out Felix didn't even fucking want the inheritance in the first place. So this could have been such an easy win for her.
Right?
Exactly. So basically, they're building up this whole backstory where Baron is talking about how he's inviting his long lost nephew to the island and is all, oh yeah, I had no living relatives, but my sister was the white sheep of the family. And so that's how he's mine. I was half expecting him to call him a bastard.
No. Bat-stirred.
Oh, the classic trope of a family of traditional Hollywood monsters and the one normal kid, and they're like, he just does his own thing, you know, he's kind of an outcast, kind of a white sheep, he fits in too much.
In other words, he's neurodivergent.
It's like what if being neurotypical was the neurodivergent? Like those stories that's like, well, what if gay was straight and straight was gay and straights were oppressed by gays?
Human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria. Enough, I get the point.
I was actually half expecting Felix to start saying a bunch of Carl Weezer lines like, ow, my scapula!
Ow, my scapula!
Oh yeah, that's another thing. The guy is allergic to everything, or I don't know, but he has such a tiny Rudolph-style mouth, but every time he sneezes, you just get this giant fucking circle. It's so weird and off-model, and not the fun kind of off-model, the kind of off-model that's going to visit me in my sleep tonight.
That's a little off-putting.
It makes me sad knowing that these like doll things are probably just rotted away somewhere, honestly.
Probably. It's not like the Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer puppets where those were found in some guy's attic and they're like in pristine condition.
Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer is not just one of the most beloved Rankin-Bass things of all time, it's one of the most beloved Christmas things of all time. If those puppets could not escape the fate of being recycled as toys and just stuffed in the attic, those puppets for this are gone. They're just gone. They melted.
And the only way they were brought back was the sequel to that shitty Good Times Rudolph movie, Island of Misfit Toys. It's like in a shitty CGI model. It's like, it's so sad.
Well, in all fairness, making a sequel to this would be a bad time. Listen, if this movie can pump out shitty puns every minute, so can I.
And so, once we actually get onto the ship and actually show the monsters fucking with the sailors, it started to get a little better for me. Although I fucking love that one of the sailors just randomly starts dropping like, oh yeah, I met Mr. Jekyll. Really? He told me he was Mr. Hyde. And they just have such weird standards on what they're scared of.
Yeah, these two guys are like literally sailing monsters to this place called the Isle of Evil. And at first they think nothing of it.
Yeah, until they start finally actually meeting them, and they just start freaking out then. It's like, why?
And there's weirder places in the world. There's a town in Massachusetts called Satan's Kingdom. I'm sure someone would see the Isle of Evil and be like, oh yeah, it's just one of those places. I mean, think about it. Are there any canaries on the Canary Islands?
I wish we were going to Candy Apple Island.
Candy Apple Island? What do they got there?
Apes. But they're not so big.
Also, maybe it's because I've seen 1996 Hunchback and not 1931 Hunchback. And I get that the theme of the Universal monsters isn't solely that they're monsters, that there's definitely themes of oppression and such within them. It still feels a little wrong to me that Quasimodo is considered a monster, especially given the original book.
Yeah, I really don't like how up until Disney had to give him a super hot singing voice in 1996 that people were finally like, wait a minute, Quasimodo's a person.
Hold up. Let him cook. Let him cook.
Like, they had to emphasize, hey, this guy is a nice person who deserves better.
This is not a Hollywood monster like Frankenstein and werewolves and Dracula. This is a person.
Especially since you can have there are people with hunchbacks, so it's like, it's a little low-key ableist, guys.
Oh, by the way, I'm about to eat my words about the Canary Islands. There are wild canaries there. I was wrong. So yes, the Canary Islands do in fact have canaries, and I think that guy should have been a little more suspicious about going to the Isle of Evil.
Also, I love that one of the sailors just casually mentions that he shanghaied somebody.
Oh, by the way, for anyone who doesn't know what shanghaiing is, it's something that Britain got in a lot of trouble with America with before 1812. Shanghaiing is basically when you capture a ship, kidnap their crew and turn them into your slaves. And the British were doing that to a lot of Americans, and that's part of what started the tensions that led to the War of 1812.
So it's during this boat segment where Felix is interacting with the monsters for the first time where I realize, this guy's a fucking idiot.
Even with his glasses off, he somehow doesn't see a super hairy person. How?
Yeah, he thinks it's a woman's hairpiece or something. And when the Wolfman runs away howling, he takes that as a woman crying. He's like, I can't stand a woman crying. Let me put a pin in that. We'll come back to that later.
Foreshadowing.
Wait a minute. Did he just apply a male societal pressure to a woman?
Yeah.
I thought it was men aren't supposed to cry and women are supposed to cry all the time. What? This guy got his misogyny and misandry wrong.
It's not as cringy as, no, this is man's work from Rudolph, but it's close.
Oh, God.
This is the kind of guy who would probably walk up to a dude and be like, what are you doing out of the kitchen?
Also, I need to mention the stupid fucking interaction between Felix and the Invisible Man where Felix still has his glasses off and he goes, you'll have to excuse me, I've lost my glasses and can't see a thing. And the Invisible Man, of course, says,
I've heard that one before.
Just tell that a lot of this dialogue was written with a fucking laugh track in mind.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I get it, because he can't be seen.
What was with the 60s and, knocking people's glasses off for comedy?
My glasses! I can't see without my glasses!
My glasses! I can't be seen without my glasses!
And, that's another thing, too. We should mention that the Invisible Man, without his robe, is basically naked the entire movie.
So is he just walking around with his dick out?
You can't see it. I don't think that counts as harassment if he's invisible.
It was the 60s.
This movie, as we'll get to later, should not be lecturing me on what's harassment and what's not.
Okay, so now here's a thought experiment. If the Invisible Man walks up to you in an alley and flashes you, is that a crime? Or is it not a crime because you actually didn't see anything?
Oh, God. Why are you making me think about this, Randy?
Let's move on.
We're getting canceled.
So there's a dumb joke where he meets Mr. Jekyll, and also I noticed that Mr. Jekyll's mouth never moves. I don't know if that's a clever touch or if it was just kind of an animation error.
Yes.
Oh, God. In case the jokes couldn't get any more bottom of the barrel, when Dr. Jekyll transforms into Hyde, literally all he says is his name, Hyde, over and over, like a fucking Pokemon. And Felix, for some reason, takes this as him wanting to play hide and seek.
Hide?
Hide? You want me to hide? Well, if you want to play games, you must be feeling better.
Who's that Pokemon? It's Mr. Hyde!
Also, why the fuck did Dracula even need to go on the boat? He can turn into a bat!
Oh.
Here's what confuses me, because there's this stupid joke where he says, if you know what, I'll fly. And later he's just on the boat anyway? And that's not even the dumbest thing. Kit, you just mentioned the Batman joke. The fucking Batman joke.
The fucking Batman joke.
Now, friends, you'll discover who was the original Batman.
Oh my God, I've never heard that before. You're the first vampire in the world to make that joke. I've never heard that before, ever, until you said it, Dracula. You're the first vampire in the world. Congratulations.
Also, yes, people would know what Batman is. The Adam West Batman was premiering around that time. How the fuck would he know what Batman is? He's locked away for God knows how long. It's like, how?
If this was made in the 90s, you just know they would stick in a fucking bunch of topical references every second.
I would have actually loved to see a 90s remake of this, only because I know it would be the worst thing ever, and it would be a train wreck I can't look away from.
There was actually a sequel to this that's a very spiritual sequel, I guess.
Oh god, how long is it?
It's called Mad, Mad, Mad Monsters, and it's actually 2D animated. It came out in 1972, and apparently it premiered in the ABC Saturday Superstar movie series. So,
Oh wow, I wonder what movie came out a few years before that was really popular. Well, actually, I looked it up. Mad Mad Monsters, and it's a mad, 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 mad world. We're like a decade apart, but come on.
It's a mad world.
Stop that. You're not going into a song while I'm here.
actually, it just hit me. So it's all these monsters being told that they're not getting the inheritance in spite of them knowing the person with the money better. And it's about the guy officially retiring, and they all have it out for the guy who will be receiving the money. It's Knives Out.
You eat shit. You eat shit. You especially eat shit.
Don't you mean bangs?
And my fucking misery.
Also, I'm just gonna say it, the Mummy and Quasimodo are boyfriends.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, no wonder they were teaming up so much.
So, do we want to talk about Yetch?
I fucking hate Yetch. Peter Lorre does not deserve this, man.
Of course they have to have a fucking Peter Lorre insert character, but why does it have to be one that is needlessly horny and sexually harasses Francesca?
Everybody basically is so fucking horny for Francesca in this, and it's so annoying. It's like, but especially him.
Yeah, this was definitely made with a 1960s specific adult audience in mind.
And the first scene where he's like specifically simping for her, there's a shot where he's on the ground and it looks like he's literally trying to put his hand up her skirt.
Ugh. Also, when he said, "So I'll creep," I was just like, yeah, I'll be something up the bayou. I don't know.
I'm a creep.
No.
I'm a weirdo.
No.
What the hell am I doing here?
Go to your room. That's it. It's just Channel T now.
Well, all right. Tyler hijacked the podcast.
That song belongs to Redacted Guardians Volume 3 character, in case you still haven't seen it.
You're not going to believe this. I still haven't seen it yet. I did not.
Please do. It's amazing.
Guardians 3 was, I'm sure, a great movie. I still haven't seen it, Kit. I'm very sorry. If you want to kill me right here, that's totally understandable. But of all the songs to pick, for Awesome Mix 3, to open the movie, I know you want to do something somber. Why do you have to pick Creep, one of the most overplayed fucking songs?
Radiohead themselves hates it.
Yeah, that's fair.
Well, you know what song they should have used? They should have used One Is the Loneliest Number. That would have fit the fucking vibe perfectly and still would have been, like, really somber.
No, they should have used Lithium.
Yeah, oh god, even better.
We need Nirvana and Guardians of the Galaxy so bad.
I will say I actually do really like the design of the castle and how it comes across a lot different from the other Rankin-Bass specials. And I love that one of the planes is straight up just the Leonardo da Vinci flying machine. That's really cool.
Also, yeah, it's worth noting, too, that Yetch says,
"Don't just stand there like Union grave diggers."
So he's anti-union as well. Because of course he is.
Yep. He fucking named names during the Red Scare. Changed my mind.
Oh, I see. He has a blue check mark.
Also, there's the implication, too, that Yetch has apparently flied before, but the doctor banned him from flying ever again. Something bad obviously happened here.
I will say, though, I do want to give kudos to Alan Swift, who actually does a lot of the voices in this movie. He does Felix, he does Yelp, and honestly, he does a really good job, like I said. And I want to make it clear that anytime I diss the characters, I'm not dissing him. He does a great job.
Yeah.
Again, there's just so much talent in this movie, and I wish the movie were better.
This movie just feels like the slowest, Halloween Hollywood monster hijinks you've ever seen in your life. And then, some plot.
So we finally get back to the monsters, and we finally start getting a mad monster party.
And boy, do the horrible, horrible fucking puns fly.
Yeah.
Remember when we said this movie was unnecessarily horny? Phyllis Diller says to Dracula,
"Don't kiss. You always leave marks."
So So she gets mad at Fang for looking at Francesca, but then she's kind of basically someone admits she cheated on him with Dracula. What the hell?
Yeah, and then Dracula says to Francesca, "You've always been my type." Oh, negative, is it? Get it? Because it's blood. Blood. He drinks blood.
It felt a little like it was trying to do a very Muppet Show-esque wordplay, but it just didn't have the timing to make it work.
I will say the one part that made me laugh, one of the few jokes in this movie that actually made me laugh, was when Yetch tries to go to Francesca again. He says,
It's me, your Don Juan. I Don Juan to look at.
That got a laugh out of me as well.
It's me. Hi, I'm the problem. It's me.
Oh, no. Also, I will also say that I love when Yetch said, "Into the air, zombie bird man." So stupid, but it was kind of beautifully read.
Oh, man.
Also, how the fuck can the creature of the Black Lagoon survive out of water?
Apparently he has like Squirtle powers and can just like, spit water no matter where he is.
And also they have a dumb joke where they're all sitting at the table and they're all reading their thoughts aloud. Then the monster's mate is just loudly talking to Fang like, "We gotta stand against them and get that inheritance for ourselves." It's like, great way to give it away. You can't get mad at Francesca for sniffing you out then.
Okay, so here's how we're gonna commit this fraud. So the first thing we have to do is find a way to get the actual heir.
And by us, I mean Francesca and Dracula. Our names.
Our names, Francesca and Dracula, who are going to kill Felix for the heir. We're loudly talking about this at a party, how we're going to commit
Also,
fraud.
we should tell people where we live just to be safe.
Hey, it took them this long to finally arrest Donald Trump.
Also, do we want to talk about the scene with Chef Machiavelli?
5 minutes. I timed it. It was 5 minutes long.
5 fucking minutes of this Italian stereotype. And the only part of it that actually works is him threatening to fucking crush Yetch's skull.
Exactly. He's so stereotypically Italian that his name is Mafia. Why?
Good lord, you're making Mario look subtle.
Just a pinch of this, a pinch of that, a pinch of this, a pinch of that.
That'd be like if his name was Spaghetti McSicily Plumber Man or something.
Mamma mia, it's a me. Al Capone, Mussolini, Spaghetti Meatball Parm.
Literally, half of his fucking dialogue is sung through Italian songs like Ave Maria, the pizza song from Spider-Man 2. I don't know what it's actually called.
Yeah, the one that goes da 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 da
Yeah.
da da da. It's called Pizza Time from Spider-Man.
Also, did anybody want tentacle porn in their Rankin-Bass movie? You get fucking tentacle porn.
Have you ever wanted to see Peter Lorre get molested by tentacles? That monster party.
It's funny because originally when Chef Machiavelli was describing the soup, I thought I heard him call it octopusy soup.
Roger Moore is Ian Fleming's James Bond 007 in Octopussy.
I will say that even though it does go on a little long, the Monkeys song.
Yeah, the fucking Skelebeetle sequence, which the song is good and all, but at the same time, when it keeps getting interrupted by what I'm assuming is the sound of cats being thrown into a blender, it kind of ruins it a bit.
Oh god, it sounded horrible. It's like, what the hell?
Well, like I said, they're the Skelebeetle Monkey Dortridge family.
The Beatles had a rough last few years, okay? They couldn't help it.
Yes, I just was up late, I was sort of stoned and high and watching films, and I wouldn't have made it anyway.
Well, that's what happens when you go to India and then do drugs and then don't have a plan on what you're going to do after you do that.
Also, I do want to shout out the name of the band that recorded that song called Dyke and the Blazers.
Nice. They call them Tibia and the Fibia in this movie, which sounds like a really bad 70s Disney title.
God, it fucking does.
Also, I will say that for as a very innovative as a lot of the animation in this movie can be and be really good and expressive, I don't know why they choose to make a lot of the song sequences look so boring. Like, it just focuses on the characters dancing, and that's it. It's like, was it just to test if you can make characters dance?
It was, we gotta pad this thing out.
It's like, because I was thinking, compared to, say, Rudolph and Santa Claus is Coming to Town, how much they add so much cool imagery during those songs and add so much going on. It's like, why is it just so whatever?
I did read on TV Tropes, there were fears that this movie was going to be too short, so they added a lot of stuff.
Why would they fear this being too short? They should have feared this being too long.
This would have worked perfectly if it was way shorter.
Exactly.
I had to speed it up to get through it without falling asleep. And when I sped it up like nearly 2 times its original speed, the monster hijinks were way funnier.
Then we cut to Dracula and Francesca deciding to team up to kill Felix, and it's like, why do you have to have this whole elaborate plan to kill him? This is the ghost of a Victorian child and a man. You could just blow on him and he'd fall over.
He's allergic to everything.
It's like, just throw some peanuts at him. End of story.
I believe this is the part, too, where Phyllis Diller overhears it and gets into a cat fight with Francesca. A literal cat fight, by the way, with sound effects.
And she rips off her dress.
They both rip each other's dresses off.
What the hell?
During a fucking Rankin-Bass movie. And of course, this leads to just a whole bunch of shenanigans where the monsters all just start getting into a food fight and beating the crap out of each other.
I will say that the fight sequence was probably the most entertaining part of the movie. They actually did have some creative shots.
It did, yeah. I will say any opportunity to see Yetch get his shit rocked is always a good one.
Absolutely.
One thing I do need to say, though, real quick, is that during that scene, Yetch gets decapitated, and he's trying to find his head, but he accidentally gets it switched with the boar's head that they're supposedly having for dinner. I was fully expecting his consciousness to somehow be transferred to that, and he starts speaking and the pig's mouth starts moving like fucking Mr. Potato Head or whatever.
If that had happened and I had seen that as a kid, that would have scared the shit out of me.
Meanwhile, the band is over here like, are we still getting our deposit, or...
And then they just fucking break into a fucking 60s version of Yakety Sax.
It's been hard for us since Tibia was replaced with a clone.
So, we talk about padding with this movie. Was there any fucking reason for there to be a 5-minute sequence of the monsters sleeping?
No. Aside from a few funny gags where the creature of the Black Lagoon is getting water all over Dr. Jekyll, like, why didn't that turn him into Mr. Hyde?
Wait a minute. You're telling me this motherfucking Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde operates on H2O laws?
I know, right?
Clear.
Clear. Imagine if in H2O she just walked around going, Clear. Clear.
The only thing of note that I have to point out about that sleep sequence is that when Phyllis Diller's character, the monster's mate, snores, her nose keeps, going from flaccid to erect. It's a literal dick nose.
Dick nose.
Oh god, she's gonna be in Nothing But Trouble next.
Here's how I like them, and I suggest you have them the same way.
So then somehow it takes Felix an entire fucking day to get to the island. It's like, it couldn't have been that far.
Yeah, like, come on.
So then Francesca goes with Baron, and somehow Baron has not heard any of the people's plans to kill Felix.
Somehow, nobody fucking thought to, like, maybe tell him, hey, someone's trying to kill your fucking nephew.
And somehow, when he's introduced to all the creatures, he's so chill about it. Like, when he meets a literal werewolf, he's just like, oh yeah, I'm good with pets.
Yeah, he's willfully feigning ignorance at this point. There's no way he doesn't know what he's getting into.
Oh, also, like the Baron said in the beginning, the reason he's having this party is to celebrate his greatest creation yet, the ability to destroy matter, because in the laws of physics, matter cannot be created or destroyed. This guy found out how to destroy it. I'm way more interested in that. Can I watch this guy destroy matter? Hello?
I have kind of a theory that this is supposed to be an anti-war film, and I can't base it off of anything than the thing acts like a nuclear bomb. So I was like, is this an anti-war film technically?
A monster-themed Oppenheimer would have been way cooler than whatever the hell they're trying to do here.
Actually, when I first saw the fluid turn green, I was like, oh my god, this movie invented the Zygrot 24. We can't escape. And that would actually be entertaining. Make a Rankin-Bass Freaked.
You know what? Let's just all watch Freaked instead.
Yeah, let's just end it here. Good idea. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, you know what? Put in the donation box. I'm watching Freaked.
Yeah, it's like Felix's sudden change into Bugs Bunny would be entertaining to watch if there was any sort of build-up to it. Like, maybe he doesn't thrive in the human world, but with monsters he thrives. Maybe similar to Percy Jackson.
Maybe I'd like to see the Baron destroy matter.
There's also a really dumb joke where he and Francesca set up a picnic, and every time Dracula swings down, he keeps picking up a sandwich he doesn't like.
Yeah, he packs all these fucking sandwiches just to nitpick them not being right. Like, dude, just eat the goddamn sandwich. I know you're doing this for the sake of the joke, but geez, just end. End already.
That's the part I finally decided to watch this thing at 2 speed. And that sandwich gag was way funnier when you actually had decent pacing.
Exactly. And also, why the fuck doesn't Dracula, again, just turn into a bat and bite him? The end.
Maybe, boom, he's dead. Or what about that matter-destroying stuff so you can erase him from existence? This guy invented a chemical to destroy matter. And they don't do anything with that.
Nope. And also, Francesca is later found out by Fang and the monster's mate and Dracula, and then they fucking trying to kill her. She falls into the water, which we find out later something about her. How did she survive that? How?
Dracula did it.
Oh yeah, should we talk about the segment too where Felix finds out about Frankenstein's intentions?
Yeah. Oh yeah, we skipped ahead, sorry. I actually do love the sequence of him meeting all the monsters that he owns, and he owns like Audrey II, he owns the Blob, he owns a Soot Sprite from Spirited Away, and the Fly. That was actually kind of clever.
How the fuck did he get a Soot Sprite 30 years before that shit even happened?
Hey, look over there. It's another bland, forgettable song.
Yeah, is it over yet?
Yeah, for some reason, this movie just has a lot of ragtimey kind of songs. It's a fucking monster movie. Why do we need ragtime?
I thought Baron was holding a ukulele at first, and I was like, oh, Baron, you don't want to have that after 2023.
Oh, no!
Oh, no!
Yeah, fun fact, Colleen Ballinger was one of his experiments. I mean, how else can you explain that?
I refuse to believe any other explanation for why Miranda Sings was the it girl of Tumblr for a period of time. Oh my god, the obsession that website had with quirky girls. I hated it. I hated it because all those OMG, I love pizza, I can't sing, I'm so quirky, all of them ended up being like the worst human beings alive.
I will say, I miss when PewDiePie was the guy I just found kind of annoying.
Oh, man.
I missed when PewDiePie was cringe because teenage girls liked him, and not when he was cringe because weirdos in their late 20s who think that they're like Aryan super soldiers love him.
Although, let's be real for a second. If any of these monsters were going to be singing about a toxic gossip train, it's Yatch.
Yeah.
Toxic gossip train.
I hate this.
See, I was like the weird aunt who would be like, hey girl, what's the tea?
I'm not a groomer, just a loser.
The only thing I groom is the werewolf over here.
Also, Baron allows Felix to go fishing in the moat despite there being crocodiles. Why? Are you asking for your inheritance to just disappear? And also, the creature of the Black Lagoon sneaks up on him and somehow doesn't just bite his head off right there and then.
Well, that would have made too much sense. You can't have that in this movie, so...
You have the creature of the Black Lagoon, and you basically reduce him to fucking Squirtle.
Again, if they establish somehow that Felix is just invincible, that would make more sense. It's like, how?
Like, it turns out Felix has, like, some sort of super secret, like, Halloween DNA or something that makes him immune to, I don't know, spooky stuff.
And also, there's multiple points where, again, Dracula is captured. You're a cat! Why the fuck don't you just fly away when they try to capture you?
I don't feel like it. It takes a lot of effort to turn into a bat, and I just don't feel like it.
Does this mean that Felix would be able to easily defeat Biff Tannen?
Yes.
There we go.
So we should have had this guy run for president when Nixon was a thing.
Also, one thing I want to point out when Felix is, like lamenting whether or not he wants to like be the successor to Frankenstein or something, he says something about being the chairman of the board of Monsters, Inc.
So this movie not only predicted Jessica Rabbit, but it also predicted Pixar. Holy shit.
Yeah, so Pixar has a lot to owe to this movie.
So we gotta get into the scene that pissed me off the fucking most in this movie. Trigger warning, by the way.
Okay, alright. So, remember earlier when I put a pin in Felix saying that he can't stand a woman crying? He sure as fucking stands slapping one.
Yeah.
Do you know what that's gonna make a woman do?
He rescues Francesca, and she's rightfully fucking terrified because now all these monsters are gonna fucking kill her. How does he respond? He slaps her!
Twice. Fucking twice.
And you know how she reacts? She falls in love with him right there on the spot.
Yes.
So, we need to talk about this movie's gender politics, or lack thereof, because it's all over the fucking place.
On one hand, they do slightly better than Rudolph did with its female characters and actually give Francesca some agency, and then they immediately start fucking having characters sexually harass her, and she has to be kidnapped so Felix can save her.
Well, yeah, but at least Rudolph didn't bitch slap anybody.
Yeah, it's such a mess.
I think that this part definitely made, like, when we were all sitting there watching the movie, we all just like, what? And then when she started singing, I was like, and now she's in love with him? What? Like, kick his ass into the ocean.
Yeah, there is no reason that she shouldn't have throat punched him into the ocean so he gets torn apart by these fucking alligators.
Good God. It's like, and again, if there was like some sort of establishment at the beginning, like they're the first people who are genuinely nice to each other, maybe I'd buy their romance, but no.
They didn't even share any fucking scenes or dialogue together before this.
Like the picnic, and that's it. It's so stupid. Ugh.
Yeah, like as soon as they get out of the honeymoon phase that they're in at the end, it's gonna be a toxic fucking relationship.
Mm-hmm. And so then it cuts to Dracula getting all the monsters to team up against Francesca. The way he gets Yetch to team up against her was telling him,
You deserved her, Yetch, but she's his, not yours.
oh my God, he's vampire Jordan Peterson. Oh, and one thing I forgot to also mention about Dracula earlier is that there's a part where he throws a salad at the mummy and it's like, but you're a fruit salad. And I'm just like, Dracula, bi and homophobic.
How can I be homophobic? I'm gay.
I invented the LGBT community.
Some of my best friends are heterosexuals.
It's not that I hate straight people. Some of my best friends are straight. Hate the sin, love the sinner.
Anyway, if you want a good series about queer vampires, watch Harmilla on YouTube.
Absolutely.
Anyway, so then we finally meet It, who has been hinted at this movie as Baron's enemy.
It's it. What is it? It's it. What is it?
We don't want copyright on our asses, so that's our name for King Kong.
Wait, we got to pad this movie out to 2 more hours. Keep arguing that back and forth for about 30
And you know what? It's still miles ahead. Actually, you know what? No. The Mighty Kong was better than this movie, quite frankly.
At least the Mighty Kong didn't have a 5-minute sequence of Kong just picking up a picture of Francesca and basically jerking off to it. Why?
Yeah, that's literally what fucking happens.
I gotta say, I was, not to spoil my ranking for this movie, I was leaning towards a very tepid keep, but then that third act just fucking ruined it.
Oh, yeah.
It's funny, too, because I was rewatching the movie, and I was like, so I never understood why they made it King Kong, and then he grabbed Francesca, and I'm like, oh, that's why.
Get it?
We gotta have a scene where he captures her and climbs on the tower, and all the zombies with their planes come and shoot at him.
I can't believe that Rankin-Bass has a movie where they pay tribute to one of the greatest stop-motion monsters, and this is what it is. It's this fucking movie.
Thankfully, they ended up making an animated series for King Kong, so I guess in a way that was their way of redeeming that. And I think they did some work on King Kong versus Godzilla in Japan, if I'm not mistaken. So,
wow, okay.
Why stop there? Why don't we just drag out Godzilla while doing that?
We're gonna call him the monster.
Lizard boy.
Oh my god! It's Jesus Caesar.
You know, it's kind of a low bar, but one of the few jokes in this movie I actually laughed at was Phyllis Diller trying to pronounce unanimous.
Yeah, that was good.
It's unanimous. Uni-mouse. Uni-noony. Yumi-nanny. It's 100%. Let's go.
And so, do we want to talk about how this movie ends?
Oh,
fucking stupid ass ending. Okay.
That's where we finally apply Baron's invention of being able to destroy matter, killing himself and all the fucking monsters. Sure.
Not only that, we have a fucking reveal at the end that Felix and Francesca were robots the whole time.
Whackity schmackity do. Also, this guy invents the ability to destroy matter, and his first thought is, I'm going to fucking kill myself with it.
Also, during the sequence where the island is blowing up, Felix's reaction to his uncle dying is, I have the urge to start singing happy closing credits song,
yeah,
basically. Old Lang Syne.
My uncle just committed a mass murder suicide. Time to sing the New Year's song.
So then it leads up to the stupid robot twist. Like, I could buy Francesca being a robot. They were obviously building up to her being one. But Felix, why?
That just didn't make any sense either. And of course, and they end it on it being a shout out to the closing joke from Some Like It Hot.
I'm just a machine of hundreds of parts. It will eventually wear out.
Well, Francesca, none of us are perfect. Are perfect. Are perfect. Are perfect. Are perfect.
I'm a man. Well, nobody's perfect.
Yeah.
No, this movie does not deserve that.
Way to ruin one of the best endings to a movie ever, and one of the gayest endings, may I add.
Yeah, really progressive for its time.
Exactly.
It's one of those, like, jokes that, like, I feel like had transphobic intentions, but then as it aged, it suddenly became progressive?
Exactly. And it's the fact that he doesn't even blink when he says it. He's like, well, nobody's perfect.
So yeah, it goes without saying, I fucking hated this.
Yeah.
I'm burning the tapes here.
Yeah. You know what? I said donation box earlier, but here's the sole reason I'm burning it. Because this guy fucking invented the ability to destroy matter, and they do nothing with it except have him die.
This is to Randy what The Last Jedi is to edgy YouTubers.
This is to Randy what The Rise of Skywalker was to Randy.
Oh,
that makes sense. I can't go quite that far. I didn't think this was as bad as some of the stuff we reviewed this year, but I gotta be honest, it's just still very frustrating to watch. I would say very tepid donation box, if only to preserve the puppets and preserve what works in the movie. And I do feel like it is a decent look into how Rankin-Bass was evolving, but I gotta say, this still definitely wasn't their best work.
The third act is definitely what fucking killed it for me, quite frankly. No, what killed it Frankensteinly for me. Fucking killed me.
At least nobody turned into a cow with this.
Oh, man. Lottie, what about you?
I think it should be donation box only because, like, as someone who's one of her hyperfixations is animation, I think it's deserved to be seen because it's not a very well-known Rankin-Bass movie. And it's also deserved to be experienced because, like, just that ending alone, it was so quiet in my room when we watched that ending. Like, we were just like, what? So, like, I think it deserves to be seen. But yeah, no, it needs to be donated or burned.
Yeah.
100%, yeah.
Can we at least save the puppets and put them in something better?
If they haven't rotted away already.
I'll say this much. It was better than Rudolph and Frosty's Christmas in July, The King and I, and especially Year Without a Santa Claus 2006.
Oh, yeah.
Wait, hang on. When did Rankin-Bass do The King and I?
Oh, it was the 1999 one. It's technically not
that one?
Not one of their movies, but it's one they helped on. So
yeah.
It's awful.
One of the only movies I know about through Doug Walker?
Yeah, I don't even like the original King and I that much, but it was a fucking disgrace.
Credit to Doug Walker. Anytime you bring up a bad movie from the 90s, it's usually his fault. I can say, hey, I know that
movie. Anyway, thank you so much for joining us again, Lottie. This was a lot of fun.
It was. I always like coming on here.
Oh, yeah.
Aww.
No, I still have Crossroads on the list.
Yes. I gotta read The Women and Me.
Oh, same.
Oh, geez. Why did I think Crossroads was the Jesus fan movie? We should look at that one day. What's it called? Second Glance.
Oh my God, yeah.
Second Glance is the one. That's the one that ends with the guy going,
hey, Scotty. Jesus, man.
Anyway, is there anything you'd like to plug?
No, not really. I'm just your average, everyday consumer of media, so...
At the moment, I'm taking a social media break, so I'm probably not going to be plugging my social media that much anymore. You can find me trying to preserve the puppets from this movie. I'm tired. It's been a long month.
Oh, man.
I hate social media now. Do not follow me anywhere.
And
I have the right to defend myself.
Also, I forgot to add, please, please, please mass report my Twitter as well, because I want off that site.
I'll just keep texting you. Like, what are you doing on Twitter?
Aww, I'm only barely keeping TikTok and Instagram for Wisp. She's our baby.
I only keep Twitter so I can yell at people until I get suspended.
Oh, man. You can find me at the usual spots. Tyler FG on Twitter, Tyler FG96 on Instagram, and tylerfg.bluesky.social. And if you want to find the show, you can find us on Twitter at channel_KRT, Channel KRT Podcast, all one word on Instagram, channelkrt.bluesky.social. And if you want to help support us, you can find us on Patreon and Ko-Fi, where you can find exclusive minisodes, outtakes, and episodes of this very podcast at its earliest convenience. And in the case of Ko-Fi, you can also just buy minisodes at $5 a pop. And of course, thank you to our pals who pledged to us the $10 level: Paul Spicknall, Tony Goldmark, Ashley Hines, and Chris Reyna. And of course, a huge thank you to our executive producers, Mike and Gomer.
Alrighty, Funeral KRT. Cut to static from another October.
Yay!
I love dead. Hate living.
You're wise in your generation.